The New Mexico Backcountry Discovery Route, Garland Sharpio and Cecil Self, June 11th, 2021 through June 19th, 2021, covering the northern half of the New Mexico BDR, from Reserve, New Mexico, up to Antonito, Colorado, and back to Reserve on slightly different routes. This is a little table of mileage from one section of the BDR to the next, and so on and so on. The BDR actually started at Del City, Texas, right by the Guadalupe Mountain National Park and the town of Del City, and went on up to Ruidoso. The first day is 283 miles. Of course, we had to get gas along the way there. Didn't make that far that day because of the rain. And then from Ruidoso to Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, it's 195 miles. And then from Truth or Consequences over to Reserve, it's 165 miles. And then from Reserve to Fence Lake, it's 133 miles. And then from Fence Lake to Grants, it's 85 miles. From Grants to Cuba, it's 120 miles. Cuba to the end up at Antonito is 202 miles. Just to give you a reference of how far each day, each section is. Going to shoot with my video camera a brief, quick video of our entire New Mexico BDR. We started at Del City, Texas, went up and over, back down to Guadalupe Mountain National Park there, and then rode the Guadalupe Rim up to and over to Weed, back over towards Tiburon, back up to Cloudcroft, Ruidoso, Carrizozo, back over Highway 380 and down by the White Sands Missile Range on the Jordana del Muerto, the desert there right by the White Sands Missile Range, over to Elephant Butte and Truth or Consequences. Spent the night there, caught the road out west to Winston and Chloride, and rode the Chloride Canyon on over by Snow Lake and up to Reserve. That's all we did in 2016. We had to come back. We went in June of 2021 back to this campground right there at Apache Creek, and north of Reserve, rode the Reserve, went around the loop there south of Luna, up to Luna and then Alpine, Arizona, got gas and food, rode the Bill Knight Road, Highway 19, all the way up to past Highway 60, on up to Fence Lake, got on the Zuni Indian Reservation, rode up to Pine Hill, and then on up through the mountains there, through Zuni Canyon, up to Grants, spent the night there, rode northeast out of Grants up into the mountains, and then back out into the desert there going towards Cuba. We decided to take a little detour up here and went on down to San Isidro right along in there, and then we made our way up Highway 4 up 126 across there back towards Cuba, but we wound up camping out up in the mountains up on Highway 1, Forest Road 103. And then the next day we rode out into the desert, rode on up to rather Abiquiu and across to El Rito, up to Valecitos, on up in by the Los Pinos River to Antonito. Then after that, we just started backtracking back over through Cuba, back down to Grants, back to Pie Town, back to our campground, and then on back to Waco on the 19th. It was June 11th through the 19th. Here's another interesting thing that was on the map. It's an elevation and mileage and other bits of information like road names and highway numbers and towns on it, and it goes the whole length of the BDR. Here's something interesting that was on the bottom of the Butler maps. It graphs the mountains, altitudes of the mountains. It goes all the way from 3,000 at the bottom up to 9,000 at the top of the picture, and it names has a mileage across from right to left and distance from one section to the other to the next, gas stations along there, and road numbers and stuff as you move across the BDR. Pretty interesting to see the elevation changes from one location to the other. There's section 2, which is from Ruidoso over to Truth or Consequences. This is Truth or Consequences up through Winston, Chloride Canyon, along in there, and on over to Reserve. Then you get into section 4 from Reserve, and you go up to Luna, which is pretty high up in the mountains, and Alpine, New Mexico. Then you get into section 5. Get over to Grants. Go up from Grants. Mount Taylor's pretty high. It's 10,000 feet or better up in pretty close to Grants. Then you drop back down in the desert and make your way to Cuba, and then you start climbing up Highway 126 into the Jemez Mountains up over 8,000 feet elevation. These are road elevations, I think. And then section 7 goes on up as you get closer and closer to the end and to Colorado border. The elevation gets probably up to 10,000 feet on some of the roads there, like how Forest Road 87 and 443, and then that canyon road that you climb up out of by the Los Pinos River up to the Colorado border by the railroad tracks and stuff there, the narrow gauge railroad. So pretty interesting chart. This is beginning section 4, map scene number 8, which goes from Reserve over to Luna and over to the New Mexico border, and then we went over to Alpine for lunch and gas because there's nothing in Luna open. Anyway, you see a little Highway 12 comes down from our campground up at Apache Creek, Cruiseville campground, comes down to Reserve, goes over to 180. We went south on 180 for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 miles and caught Pueblo Park Forest Service Road, and then took it southwest and climbed up on the mountains and on the shelf roads and stuff, and went all the way over to the New Mexico border, and then we got back on 209 and followed it back up to 180 towards Luna and on up, and that's all of it on this map. It's Saturday morning at Apache Creek, New Mexico, up north of Reserve, about 10 miles, at the Cruiseville campground. 7 o'clock New Mexico time. We were up and moving around a little bit. Made us some jet boil coffee and testing it out. So, morning, Garland.
Morning.
We just got here just before the sun had already set yesterday, but it wasn't dark. Got checked in and tent set up. Ate some more barbecue sandwiches. Ready to start our New Mexico BDR again. Campground's not about half full. It's pretty nice. Well, it's about 9:15 New Mexico time. We're finally got Garland's foot peg put back on permanently, hopefully. Bolts and threads had stripped out of that plate, right, that mounting box right there, and put some helicoil in there, red Loctite on there, about 2.5 tubes of it. Hopefully it'll hold. We're unloading the bikes. We're going to try to ride some today and come back here and camp again tonight. Maybe get time to organize some things. I got way too much stuff and not enough places to put it. So anyway, we're going to head out in a little bit. Well, we're loaded up a little bit, ready to head out. Going to ride the reserve and over those around the Luna Loop. Got gum in my mouth and the helmet's pushing my gums and cheeks into my teeth. So about 10:30. Amazing. Turning off of 180, do the Luna Loop. We're at the Pueblo Park Equestrian Campground on Pueblo Creek. And man, it is dry and dusty down here. The Forest Service trucks just went by and just showered us with dust. Not too bad, but that first few miles off the highway was curvy.
But it's
steep
smooth
and loosey-goosey.
It's starting to get a little more difficult here.
Yeah.
And the first part was very smooth and twisty though. It's nice.
We're way on up Pueblo Park Road. Way on up the mountainside. And there's this beautiful view. Sort of smoky or hazy.
Okay, where are we, Cecil?
Huh?
So where are we?
Hey, where are we?
Yeah, where we at?
We're up here on this mountainside. I hope we stay on the road. I think the worst part's over, I hope.
Really? That wasn't bad, was it?
Here it comes. We're at the Arizona border with New Mexico, but we're going to turn around right up here, go back down towards Luna on 209. Comes Garland. Going into Arizona. Yeah. Fire restriction. Comes Garland back. He went into Arizona. He's going back into New Mexico. Gonna go back up there to the Y in the road, or the T. We ate at this little restaurant, something about Smoky Bear restaurant or something like that, in Alpine. A lot of motorcycles out today, a lot of Harley riders, BMW riders, and us. This is on the Coronado Trail. We're back on the Bill Knight Gap Road, about 10 miles north of Luna. Just came out of those mountains up there on that red clay road and the white rock. And you can still see the white rock all around. We'll be following that for a good while. Garland says it's so hot he can't hardly breathe.
You can breathe?
Yeah, I can breathe. Bill Knight Gap, just passed through it. Pretty nice, like some 270 degree turns or so. That way goes to Arizona state line. This way goes to Highway 60, about 17 miles. And then we can either go to Fence Lake this way or go to Camado and back to Apache Creek for the day. Well, we made it back to our camp at Apache Creek, Cruiseville, Apache Creek campground, one of them. There's the sun just gone down behind the mountains to the west, obviously. Tent set up. We had a nice long ride today over around Luna, went to Alpine for lunch and got gas there, rode on up to, went back to Luna and rode up the Bill Knight Gap Road all the way to Highway 60, took both loops off of Bill Knight Road. A lot of rub board on one of them. The Jenkins Creek Road was just well maintained rub board. But then the other one, the north side, which is 385, it was pretty good shape, and wasn't too difficult to negotiate. And then when it started coming down out of the mountains, it turned to this red gravel or clay, and it was pretty interesting coming down there. It's really pretty, the red clay road and the white mountains, just as white as they could be, like limestone almost, or white sand. uh, anyway, went back over to Kamado and got gas and some Gatorade, cooled off a little bit, and rode the 41 miles back down to the campground, and decided that we're going to leave the truck and trailer here. uh, Garland's gonna be able to take a lot of the food that I had no room for. Everything I had was maxed out, and he's got a big empty saddlebag that we're going to put a lot of that extra food and stuff in, and he can carry it on his bike. So we're going to do that for the rest of the trip, off of the bikes, and leave the pickup here. Come back here Thursday night or Friday, and head on back home Saturday morning probably, or Friday afternoon, something like that. There's the mountains to the north. You can barely see them right now in the northwest, and those are the ones we just rode through this afternoon coming back from Kamado, and it's really pretty. Saw a lot of elk, and there was water in the Apache Creek, and it's nice and pretty. Campgrounds and activity areas. It was pretty interesting. Talk to you later. Bye. Here's the next map. It goes basically straight up parallel to the Arizona border on up to almost to Fence Lake. It's map number 9. So there's Luna. We took the Jenkins Creek loop there, came back down and joined back in with Highway 19, which is the Bill Gap road there. There's the Bill Knight Gap Road, and the elevation there is at 8,115 feet. Followed that road on up to Highway 60, cuts across from Quemado to Eagerville, Arizona. Then the road changes to A007 or 0007, passes Zuni, Salt Lake, Merino Hill, and then turns back over to Fence Lake. That's section 9, map number 9, to Fence Lake. Okay, the map sort of goes diagonally across the page here, so we're still going sort of northeast from Fence Lake there up a little ways and get on the Zuni Indian Reservation Road number 128, I think, or so. Go on up and go to Candy Kitchen, go a little further up the Caliche White Rock Road, and then turns into the paved up there by Pine Hill. Go back down to Pine Hill, which is sort of their headquarters of their Rama Zuni Indian Reservation there. A lot of nice schools, stores, and gas station. Then we go on up out, take 122 up, and sort of wander around until we finally found our way up the road to El Morro on Highway 53, and then came on across 53 to the east towards the El Malpais, the lava flow area. Take Forest Road 50, which is Zuni Canyon Road. Pretty good road, and then we turn off on a little the abandoned mine section that goes up through the mountains. Is real good dual sport riding. A lot of ups and downs and cutting through the trees and stuff. And then we join the Bonita Canyon and then run northwest over to
meet the Zuni Canyon Road, follow it on into Grants. Spent the night there. It was after dark when we got in. Spent it in a Motel 8. Well, it's Sunday morning. We're still at Cruiseville at the Apache Creek campground. Sun's up, not a cloud in the sky yet. We're loading up and we'll take the bikes the rest of the way. Well, it's Sunday morning, about 9 o'clock. We're finally packed up and ready to go on the bikes the rest of the BDR, all the way to Colorado. So, quite a load on both bikes. It's supposed to be nice weather, but hot. We stopped in Camado at the Largo Cafe and Motel for breakfast, lunch, whatever. Are you hungry?
Yeah.
Okay, we stopped, got gas, and now we've got paper towels. We're ready to go, I think.
I believe so.
Still in Camado. That guy asked me, "Where's your kitchen sink?" I said, "It's in here." I said, "In the commode too."
I was wondering what he asked you. I didn't know if you could hear him.
Yeah. Okay, we were here yesterday where all this road construction is for the windmills going to be put in. We're about to get back on the BDR going towards Fence Lake and Salt Lake and points beyond. How you doing?
Good.
Me too. Hey!
Hey.
Nice riding. There's a ranch headquarters down there. The Zuni Salt Lake, we just came up that road from Highway 60 about 20 miles. There's this, the Zuni Salt Lake, just a depression. These are dirty bikes. Getting a break from all this sunny weather with the few floater clouds. Make a big difference in the temperature. Big ranches out here. A little windy. It's blowing with us. I think we have to go up over that hill right behind Garland's head. Can't see it. There it is. I think that's Merino Hill. Still shot of Zuni Lake. Sort of zoom in there. That's a salt. That's a salt lake. They harvest salt out of their train tracks leading to it and everything. Towards Fence Lake on the top of Merino Hill. Quite a climb getting up there, and there were dust devils
all along the road on that mountainside as we were climbing up it.
I think we just reached the top of the Merino Hill climb, and just 5 minutes ago we were down there, way out there in that valley. You can see the road way over there that we were on. Can't even see the other side, it's so hazy. The climb up here had big ruts full of loose stuff. You had to stay out of those or else you're going to lose traction. It's pretty steep. I bet it's a 8 or 9 or 10% grade at better coming up there, and there was a Suburban coming around this corner as I approached it. Zuni Salt Lake is right across that way, I believe, that we just passed a few minutes ago. You want to do it again?
Let's do it. Somebody been taking shots at that sign. You see it?
Yeah. The steel post. I think.
No.
Or is it wood?
Wood.
Oh yeah, I see it up the top. It looked like angle, the way it's weathered and painted and stuff.
Yeah.
Quite a view. We're at Fence Lake. There's a monument to the early people that settled this area. The community center. And there's Garland, all the way from Houston. What are you doing here?
I'm lost.
Melting?
I'm lost.
It's hot here.
What'd that sign say?
I picked this tree down here because it had the best shade, and all the tables were in the shade to take a little nap in case we need to.
Bring up a hammer.
There's the post office over there. It's 2 o'clock. We're on our way to the Indian reservation. Hopefully cut through there over to El Morro and on to Grants for the night, maybe, if we can get through the Indian reservation. Well, we finally made it to Pine Hill and got gas and some pizza and some Gatorade. And getting a little shade, and looks like to the south it's trying to rain a little bit. Nice little store and stuff here. We're taking New Mexico BDR route on Zuni Canyon, but we talked about maybe going to the ice caves on the way back down. And we just took a tour of El Morro. Didn't take a single picture. They were closed, but the little campground's nice. And That inscription wall looked like it was on the side of the mountains facing the road, the highway. They had.
Now that is cool as crap. I'm here to tell you that is cool. Oh heck, I can see water down there.
Whoa! Can you imagine having to climb down in that to dig?
Huh? It's mud.
Did you hear it hit?
Yeah, heard it hit.
Huh? Hit.
It hit mud.
Did you hear water?
No, mud. No. Mud.
Anybody scream out, quit throwing rocks down here? I've seen this thing on video, but it doesn't do it justice. This thing is a whole lot bigger than it looks on video. I think I can see a bottom with the camera zoomed in. They don't want anybody going down in that thing. Garland wants me to video this gnarly hill to get up to this point. Luckily it's not too terribly steep. And it's not all rock, but it's got some washout drains and stuff. These rocks look funny here, like they're quartz or something. I took the wide line here, went up on this side, came back across right there, went up towards that tree in the middle there, and then turned and went up around the corner. So it's a pretty good little climb. A lot of places to mess up on, that's for sure, and hurt yourself. I'm gonna get some of these rocks. These rocks look like quartz and iron in them, or copper. That one looks white. Some rocks. Made a big swing.
I went right around there. I went to the left.
Yeah.
Because it looked the best.
Yeah.
But then I saw the branch. I thought, uh-oh.
Yeah, I went beside the rock and the roots.
Yeah,
and came on across here.
That's exactly the way
sort of